So I'm an alcoholic, an addict, codependent, overeater. I'm pretty much all the things, and that's not because of my past, but my past definitely contributed to my solution, which was drinking, drugs, men, food, whatever. So I'll start from the beginning. I grew up in a blue-collar kind of home. Mom, dad, 2 brothers. When I was very, very young, I was sexually abused by one of my brothers, and the family split apart, pretty fast. So there was trauma very, very young. After a while, it was just my mom and I for a long while, and then when I was around 9, my father passed away. He had Parkinson's and Lou Gehrig's, and that's around the time when I started reaching out for something to cover these feelings, because I felt empty. I would share with friends at school about these things that happened to me, and then their parents wouldn't want me seeing them because I was a weirdo. So I was kind of like an outcast, and when I started smoking pot at like 10, 11, and everything just like kind of slipped away and became funny, and I wasn't feeling the void anymore. It was being filled. And then flash forward a couple years, I started drinking pretty heavily, and I thought I was just partying with friends and stuff. My mom was pretty abusive. She later got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and all kinds of other fun things. But what it looked like in my home was walk on eggshells, So, that was pretty rough. I ended up a pregnant teen mom. And unfortunately, I was still in the hold of addiction, and my kids got to experience an absent mom. And we'll get to the hope. So I was about 25, and I had done all the things that I thought I would never do as a mom. I had neglected my kids. I had yelled at them. I hit my son. I let unsafe people in the home. And then I went on a camping trip. I went on a camping trip with my 7 and 5-year-old, and I let them go swimming in a lake by themselves. And when I got home, I hated myself. Oh boy. So anyway, I called the one person I never thought I'd confide in. I called my mother, and she told me to get my butt to a meeting. And so I did, and I walked in the rooms of AA. I knew I would not relate. I wouldn't identify. I knew it was all old guys with a bottle of sherry who lived under a bridge. And turns out it wasn't. My first meeting was a women's meeting. And when I walked in the room, there was a girl that I used to party with sitting there. To me, that's God. God was there. And so she was like kind of the girl at the party that I thought was cool and classy, 'cause she always had like her own wine glass with a charm, and if she was an alcoholic, then I certainly could be too. So off started my journey, and that was 11 years ago, last Thursday. So anyway, I got into AA, and I went once in a blue moon, and about a month in, my son said, "Mom, I liked you better drunk." And to me, I thought, well, then what am I doing? You know, I didn't really get it, but, you know, hindsight's 20/20. I used to let him do whatever he wanted, and then I started, you know, showing up. I don't know what happened that I kept going, but I did. I kept going, and eventually, after about a year, somebody told me that I was supposed to work the steps if I was going to stay in the program, and I wasn't a big fan of the idea. You know, it was a really scary thought for me. But I ended up doing them kind of like halfway. And then I got married. So everything went on the back burner. My marriage was really toxic. I got sick or sober, you know. A lot of us do, because if I'm not filling that void with a solution, then it's just growing. So within me, the hole got bigger, and my defects came into play, and I started having affairs. And I did a lot of things that I promised myself I would never do in recovery, you know. I thought that I was doing these things because I was a drunk, but it turns out that that's me. You know, that's me in untreated alcoholism. And until I learned to work on me, I wasn't going to get better. So I ended up getting really, really sick, and the pandemic hit, and I stepped away from meetings because I thought it was everybody else's fault, you know. And I hit another wall in sobriety where I had that same feeling again of I can't stand myself. I didn't like myself. And I knew I was in trouble. So I came back in the rooms, and I started talking. I started being honest for the first time in years. And I met some awesome people. I started working on myself with a psychotherapist. I started doing the things that I should have done when I first came in. And luckily I stayed sober. But as I was doing the things started getting better. I started to love myself again. I started to look myself in the mirror and think I was pretty again. I started feeling like a good mom again. And then I started a new program. I started working the BBA with somebody I really respected and somebody I trusted. And I gotta tell you, I've never felt so good in my recovery, and I have ups and downs, and it's been a really bad week, but I still wouldn't trade it. Today I can be honest. I can show up in my life. I can show up in my kids' life. I can show up for my friends. You know, today I have hope. Today, when I first came in, I didn't believe in God, you know. Today I do. Today I know that no matter how bad it gets, there's a plan. And it's not mine, because mine didn't work. Mine kept me drunk. Mine kept me unfaithful. Mine kept me away from God. And I just want to say that without these rooms and without people like you and without people struggling, I wouldn't be here today, because I need to help other people to stay sober. And by the grace of God, I'm celebrating 11 years tomorrow with this beautiful woman back there, Caitlin, and she's gonna have 5, and that's amazing. You know, we become best friends because of these rooms, you know, and it's just like, wow. I wouldn't trade it for anything. You know, it's been a hell of a journey, but I'm happy every day I wake up and I show up.